I'm good. How are you, Eric?
I'm good. I'm good. Hanging in there.
Yeah,
Blessed, highly favored, all that good stuff.
yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I just want to welcome you. This is your first time on my On the Queue with Qadriyyah Marie podcast. For
Yeah.
everyone out there who hasn't watched the show, I am the host of On the Queue with Qadriyyah Marie. I want to say Happy Wellness Wednesday to everyone. I be feeling like every day should be Wellness Wednesday because I
Yeah.
feel like your wellness should be an importance of every day of the week. But being
Absolutely.
that it is Wednesday, I do want to say Happy Wellness Wednesday to everybody out there. I'm very excited, enthusiastic about this evening's show. I have one of my closest dear friends. I have to put that out there. I have
Yeah.
been friends almost. God, I'm gonna give away our age, but for,
Don't do it.
for almost 25 years. So
Yeah, it's been a long time.
say we met when we were babies. Let's just say
Yes,
that. All right, let's
exactly.
keep it that way. In
Then,
preschool. But
then,
it's been a long time.
yeah,
So
long time.
long time. So I'm just feeling very, very proud of my guest that I have on tonight. And I'm gonna let him introduce himself for you guys.
Yeah. So, my name is Eric Stanley. I'm actually I'm a mental health therapist, here in Jersey. I'm also work as I was a teacher, and I'm a counselor now, and I'm also on top of that I work as a clinician, as a mental health therapist. So I've been doing it for so many years. I've been teaching for about 14 years, and I've got my master's in counseling, and it's just kind of skyrocketed from there. Just knowing that how like mental health is huge in our country. It's huge in our because it's huge because so many people are suffering in silence, right? And the hard part is that when people suffer in silence, we don't know what's going on, and then a lot
No,
of times the result to is feeling like the need to leave this life. So coming in as a mental health therapist and talking about that, talking about the stigma, talking about what is actually happening in our country, and in our community, is huge. Like, we have to give it a voice now. We have to talk. We have to showcase what's actually happening so we can bring it to the light, because we can't keep this stuff in the dark anymore. People need
no.
help. It is better to talk about it now than to let the person that they're going through this stuff alone, because that's really what's happening.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Especially just being in isolation. We see a
Yeah.
lot of people doing that, but I do see a lot of changes. I do see people opening up more, so I'm happy, about that. The first question I want to talk to you tonight about is how has your journey been to becoming a therapist?
It's been pretty wild, actually, because I always knew that I wanted to help people. I just didn't know how.
Mm,
So my first instinct, even from like undergraduate, was that I said, you know what, let me go into some kind of educational field.
right.
So I've been working with the kids my entire life. If it was at the YMCA, I was a lifeguard. I was, literally trying to save lives that way.
Yeah, I
Um,
remember.
right?
Yeah.
Working at summer camps here and there, and then that led me to realize that there was more for me to do. I loved how the mind worked, because it was kind of like I was figuring out a jigsaw puzzle and about where the problem happened and what was happening and to how to solve it.
Mm,
So being a teacher allowed me to do that on the academic level, but going
right.
forward and being a counselor helped me do that as a school counselor. Right, first helped me to bridge the gap between the academic and the emotional, and now also as a clinician, mental health therapist, working with just the emotional, helping to kind of
Mm,
connect the past with the present. So going through all that, going through many years of school, through internships, through practicums, many papers, many assignments, I'm now confident in knowing what I'm doing, and that I'll continue to do this to where I'm actually starting school. I've started school to become finishing up my doctorate in clinical psychology.
wow, congratulations.
Thank you. So and
Well,
the journey doesn't
I
stop.
remember you getting your bachelor's, and now
Yeah,
your doctorate. So,
yeah. So it's definitely been a journey,
oh,
but it's thank you. But it's definitely been something that is it's healthy and it's going to help the world. That's my big sense. I wanted to help. I wanted to just to help people, but this is the best way to do it. Is getting in there, getting down dirty with people,
getting in there, like mental, yeah,
right in their mind, because that's where a lot of our problems come from. It's our mind. It starts with our mind first.
so,
You know, we think something, and then we put actions towards it. So when we do that, we automatically start to perform acts that's not like ourselves, just based off of what we have thought already. Those are called like automatic thoughts. Those negative automatic thoughts. So you know, we have to be mindful of that, especially when we feel like this doesn't really sound like me. This sounds like something I wouldn't do. What would I do?
But if you have a certain thought, you're saying like to go back and check yourself to see if that sounds like something you would normally think.
Correct.
Okay.
And then if it's not, then you have to replace that thought with a positive one and say, okay, this is what sounds like me.
And the thing with that is some people probably even struggle with that.
Yeah.
They may have been dealing with that depression or that anxiety, whatever, mental issue they've been dealing with for a long period, that now the two voices sound the same, or they can't distinguish between what is them and what's not them.
Right, exactly. Which normally leads them to such, dark places, because the more of those negative, thoughts that pop into your head first, the more you start to think that they are the truth. Right. And the more you start saying, well, oh, no, I'm not good enough. Oh, I can't pass this test. Oh, this isn't going to work out for me. Or, oh, man, I just, if I just, went a little further, or if I would have went to school for a little bit longer, maybe I would have been okay. Those are all negative thoughts, and a lot of times we have to automatically replace them by saying, look, I did my best in school. I can go back. And we have to use a lot of I can statements to replace those thoughts. Yeah, and I'm not going to say that it's easy. It's really, really hard.
Yeah.
Especially when you're alone. So, when we
alone.
Yeah. What did you say, Cardi?
The key word you said was alone.
Yeah. Because a lot of times these thoughts attack us when we're by ourselves. And when you're sitting at home and you're by yourself, and like the world is really coming down hard on you, it's really easy to go into this dark place of, okay, this isn't working out for me. I can't do this anymore. To where it's better for me to leave because no one will care that I'm here.
Yeah.
And that's where suicidal thoughts coming in. And they come out of nowhere. And like, man, how did I even think about that? Where'd that come from?
Yeah. I've heard that. And I've experienced my own level of it, not to the extreme of actually acting on it, but I've had my own random thoughts, which I don't like to have. It hasn't been often, thankfully, but even one time to me is a one time too many.
Yeah, right.
Because you know that you're meant to be here, whether as far as being Christians, we're definitely big on, against suicide, but there's also the fact that it happens no matter what religion you are, or your family background, or your history. It really does. It's something that shows like tonight is important to have to help break all that, the silence that comes with that, because like you said, it's people are alone when they have these thoughts.
Right. And a lot of times, in our communities, we feel as if we are alone in this thing. We feel like if we just keep it to ourselves, we'll get through it. And the reality is that's not the truth. You got to get people around you that you can trust, that you can really talk to. And if you don't, it's okay to get a therapist. I saw this quote that said, you can have Jesus and a therapist too.
I'm so happy you said that.
Yeah, it's like
I really am, because you have church folks, and they kind of preach to you where all you need is prayer, and I'm all for prayer and everything. I really am, but I very much agree more with what you just said.
Yeah, because it's kind of like Yeah, kind of like doctors, right? Like
Yeah,
actual, like
right,
medical physicians, right? Like God put, I believe God placed them on the earth to heal us,
right.
right?
That's a good point.
Yeah, we go to them. Same thing with therapists. It's
Right.
okay to talk to someone and
Yeah.
pray with them. There's also Christian therapists as well.
Yes. Yes. Thank you for saying
That you can go to if you don't feel comfortable going to a mental health therapist like myself or any of my colleagues. And it's about opening up. And a lot of times, just even putting our faith on the side is people just don't have. They have a hard time just saying, "Look, I don't feel comfortable telling anybody. I can handle it
that. Right.
myself." People feel like they can handle it themselves. That leads to their downfall every time. That leads to addictions. That leads to you doing things that you normally wouldn't do because you feel like you got it. You don't feel like you had to depend on anybody.
Mm,
We I've dealt with cases where people attempted multiple suicides, and some
wow. Mm,
happened, some didn't, and it's hard to watch because they all have one thing in common. They feel like they didn't have anybody. They feel like they were alone in their situation. They feel like it was just them and their situation, and then their situation took advantage of of their own mind. And okay, well, you can't. And a lot of times, people think that people just want to commit suicide because they don't want to live.
right.
That's so incorrect. People want to commit suicide because they feel like they want to stop the pain. They want to stop feeling the way they're feeling. That's the thoughts that may
Yeah.
course through their minds at night. It's tough
Mm.
because you're clawing at the walls. But it's like you don't have to do that stuff by yourself. You're not alone in this. You
And
know.
and that's something I'm glad that you keep repeating because it is a big thing that people say.
Hmm.
I'm not a therapist, and I've heard people tell me that they felt alone. I've said that myself. I just posted recently
Right.
about feeling feeling that I'm not alone because I know I have, friends like you. I have
Mhm.
neighbors. I have all huge family and associates around me. But sometimes I still feel like it's just me.
Right. Right.
So just losing my mom. Now I really feel like my world
Yeah.
is smaller, and I actually felt like that before my mom even passed. I was having those types of feelings of
Oh wow.
feeling like I'm by myself, even though I have 1,000 people who support and love me.
Hmm. Hmm.
And still have those feelings. And people assume that, if you have all these people around you, if you're popular, all those different things that's associated with being happy, that you shouldn't have any type of issues. And
Right.
in reality, I don't think that's true at all.
Hmm.
You've probably seen it, you've seen on the news and probably know personally people that you would look up to that
Hmm.
you would see as, being, successful, for example, attractive, has money, has everything that you think people dream to have.
Right.
And yet, and somehow on the inside, they're having those thoughts that you mentioned.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's the richest people.
Right.
They're human, and you can have money can't buy the things that come
Mm-mm.
free. It doesn't. Money
Yes.
can't buy your mind to let go of what's actually happening. I mean, yes,
Mm.
there is medication to help you out help you cope with it, but
Right.
eventually, you know what I mean. It comes down to you. Like, how far are you willing to go to be
Hmm.
better? Like how much do you really want this?
Yeah.
So people struggle with that, and you
Yeah.
know, I see it on different levels, right? I see it people that don't have as much money. I see it on people that have kind of like in that middle level, but I see a lot of people that are, really, really up there in the price range where they're making, buckets of money. And one thing I think one of a colleague of mine said that, we all have the same grave. We're all, when we
Yeah,
die,
we're
it's,
doing literally the same size, it
same
goes
box.
the same thing.
Yeah. And it's like, what are you doing with the time you have here?
Yeah.
What are you doing while you're sitting home? Are you trying to make yourself better? Are you doing any self-care? Self-care is huge
Hey,
because
Kai says, hey.
uh, self-care is huge because
Yeah.
if that gives your mind a chance to just take a break from itself.
Yeah.
If it could be going to the gym, it could be journaling, it could be riding a bike, it could be just going for a car ride, it could be sitting at the
Yeah.
beach. That takes your mind off of what's happening right now. But I tell everyone that's going through stuff like this, that's struggling in their own head daily, it's like you can see it coming. Like you can see the darkness coming, because then you start to think things that you wouldn't normally think. Like your day could be going great, and then automatically triggers you. Like, oh man, like that's terrible. Oh my god, I can't believe that happened. Oh my god, I'm gonna get an F, or things are gonna go bad for me today, or I'm gonna lose this, or I don't have enough money, and then it's like it snowballs.
Yeah.
Before you realize it, you're sitting home wondering what the heck just happened. And a lot of times it does come out of nowhere, but sometimes you can't see it. And when I tell everyone, it's like, get out. That's a good moment to get out of the house.
Just to get out physically.
Physically get out of the house. Yes. That means get around people.
Right.
Talk about different things. Call someone. Say, hey, can we meet up for, coffee? Can we go to dinner? Or, can we chat for a while? Get out of your head for a little bit, so that it's like your mind can have a reset. So that you can really start to think about what's actually happening in your life. That's actually like your reality, and not a fantasy that your mind has started to play tricks on you, and a lot of times people do they stay home. They don't, they say, they're like, I'm just going to chill here. I'm going to watch some TV. Oh, I'll be okay.
Well, that's the biggest thing. When you talk to people, you ask them how they're doing, their response is, I'm okay. And normally, and I'm not trying to say that everybody has issues, which I think they do in some way or form.
Yeah.
But the normal response is, I'm okay. It's a generic.
Yeah.
And reality, almost when I hear people say that, I almost don't believe them. Where it kind of like puts me in that position where, like, do I pry? Do I ask them more about what's going on, or do I just let them just tell me?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because if it's a friend or a loved one, you do worry. Like, you can almost tell when someone's just like, oh, I'm okay. And something just happened. So it's like you're asking them how they're doing. But I also know people who believe, like, when people ask how they're doing, that they're just saying that. And that happens. But sometimes you really are asking someone, how are they doing? And for some people, it can go either way. They can either respond saying, I'm okay, or they can actually just divulge everything.
Right.
And I'm sure as a therapist, a counselor, you've gotten all different, responses.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I did. I got a whole bunch. I got the wavelength, and it's a lot of times that people like. I mean, let's be real, right? It's okay to not be okay. Yes, that's huge, right? But the thing is that what's not okay is when you just say, like, I'm good, and then you keep it to yourself.
Right, but keep it to yourself.
Right, and then say, all right, like I'm gonna manage this on my own. And when we think about those type of situations, and we say, yeah, I think I got it. I think I'm good. We automatically discontinue and cut people off from wanting to be there to support us. It's like we push each other away. Yeah. We say, you know what? All right, I don't need you. Okay. And then a lot of times, unless people are really persistent, they'll ask you once, maybe twice, and then they won't ask you again.
They won't. Right.
And then it's up to you to actually reach back out.
I agree with that 100% because since I lost my mom, I've been getting grief emails, sensitive, like daily emails, and that's something they were mentioning. As far as how to respond to that. So everything you're saying, and I'm just mentioning grief because that's something I'm dealing with right now. Yeah. But grief is tied into your mental health. It is. As well, the loss of someone you love.
Yeah. And like, it's funny because going to school, they asked us, they said, what's something at the beginning of our program, they said, what's something that that you're going to struggle with as a therapist and as a counselor? I said, something that I'm not comfortable with. I said, I can't deal with grief counseling. I said, that's hard for me in the beginning, right? But then as the process goes on, you learn how to process grief, and you realize that it's a part of life, right? And it's just about how you manage it. It's about what you do in the midst of it. There's no perfect way. There's no right way to grieve. There's none.
Yeah.
It's just about how you manage to do it, and can you get past the dark periods, right? Like I call it the dark eras. Can you get past the dark eras to realize that there is life after this? You can move past it, but it's kind of like it takes time. And people think, oh, it's a quick fix.
Right.
Nowadays, we want instant gratification. We have it with everything, with
Right.
Ubers and Uber Eats and Grubhub. We can get food and stuff like that within 20 minutes,
Right.
just by a click of a button. Grief, mental health, that stuff doesn't happen that way. It takes months and years.
Months, not just one session or two.
Yeah, and even with the therapist, right? Like, I've had clients that we just didn't click, right?
Yeah.
And that's okay. It's just like fitting on a shoe. Every shoe doesn't fit the exact same way. You got to find your perfect shoe. And then it takes time. It may take 3 or 4 or 5 different therapists just to see which one fits better with you, because it is about personality. And most of the times therapists, we know by the first, maybe by the second session, definitely by the first, that, if it's not working with you, and we'll say, hey, is this working? How do you feel about this? Are you here with me, or are you kind of like, hey, this isn't working? And, have a place that's open. We need an open forum, a place for people to feel safe and comfortable to talk about. On your end, it also takes a lot of effort to say, look, this may be me. I need to be able to be more open with you because I'm not doing that, and take accountability for that.
That's a big thing, being open.
Yeah, because it believe it or not, it's harder. It's hard for guys. Men have a hard time being open because it's like,
I know. Really, yeah.
Yeah, we were, we're kind of built to be the provider, be a provider, to have all the answers, to do this right. I was talking to my best friend earlier today, and we were kind of just talking about that, just saying, like, we've always felt like we have to have it together, and then we break.
Yeah, especially particularly for Black men.
Yes, definitely for men of color, because we feel like we have to be the provider. We have to do it right. And then when we're not doing it, it messes with our minds. It messes with our heads. It's saying, like, what am I not doing so that I can provide, that I can make the right decisions, that I can feel like this alpha male, right? And that's when things kind of turn left, and we start to fall. There's been many case studies around men across the world where men felt like they just couldn't do it, and they literally walk out of their house one day and jump off a bridge because it's the pressure. And until we relieve that and say, all right, I need my partner. I have a partner for a reason, or I have someone here, or I have a friend for a reason I can lean on. You'll always feel that pressure, and instead of being able to say, look, I just needed a minute to just kind of get it together on my, with someone, and then talk to someone, that's okay. But the fact that you don't do it at all, that's hurting you. That's hindering you. And kids had the same issues too. It's hard for kids to trust. But sometimes they're a little workable. Sometimes adults then kind of set in our ways.
We set our ways and don't necessarily want to admit when we need help.
Yeah. And when that happens, it makes life difficult for people, for yourself and people around you.
I did want to ask you. I know you see the question just briefly.
Oh, you do? Oh no, I thought
you did. I didn't bring it up till just now, but being that it is Mental Health Month, I just wanted just your thoughts on what this represents for you, what it means for you. The fact that I think mental health has been around for quite a while, as far as having an entire month dedicated to it. But now I think it's more out there because it's being talked about more.
Yeah, it's huge now. People that you wouldn't even realize is actually in therapy. And they may not share it with you, but they're trying to get healed. They're trying to get whole. And I ain't mad at them.
No.
But for me, mental health awareness is really just having the ability to open up your eyes, see something different from a different perspective. Like that's what we do when we sit on this side of the chair. We're giving you a different perspective of your own life. Like,
Oh, wow.
no therapist is able to fix your problems. They can't. Possible. They can't. This is a you thing. We're here to facilitate, to talk, for you to lean on and say, hey, I'm not seeing things in the right way. What do you see from your professional opinion? And we say, hey, this is what I'm seeing. But this is up to you in order to make the change. I can't do it. It has to be you. So, being open, being like having your mind open to the possibility of talking to someone, and some men are like an open book.
Yeah, some are. They really are.
Yeah, they're open book, and that's great. But then they leave the office, and then they leave exactly the same way. I'm like, hey, come leave the office a little different. Take something with you when you leave.
Go home, right?
Yeah, like apply this to your life. What have you found out today? Like what stuck with you, or what didn't stick with you? What do you still have questions on? And when we really, really look at mental health in our community, especially in the African American, just the people of color, community people of color, because that goes across the board, right? Like, we're kind of all in this kind of thing together. We all deal with the same kind of situation. It gives us opportunity to see ourselves. Like I tell my clients all the time, like, I'm your mirror. I'm showing you what you are, what's happening to you right now. That's like what you're telling me, I'm just telling it back to you. And a lot of times people are like, what'd you say? I'm sorry, I missed that. Yeah. And it's hard for them to see what is actually happening in front of them, because a lot of times they don't want to face that thing. And, as therapists, we've learned how to have a lot of empathy and to say it in such a way where it's like, okay, I see what's happening with you right now.
Right.
And this is what you told me. But like, how do we fix this now? Because we want you guys to people that are coming in for our services to have accountability for what you want to do. Because if you leave with saying, hey, this is Eric's idea, Eric thinks I should do this, then Eric will either get all the credit or all the blame. And you won't have any credit or any blame. You'll walk out and say, well, see, I tried it. See, it didn't work. See, therapists, they don't know what they're talking about. They couldn't fix me.
Yeah.
And that's not the case. We can't. And that's why we put a lot of emphasis on what can you do? What can we do? How do we get you?
Incorporate the persons into it, because you're just there to help.
Yeah. Correct.
They still have to put the work in.
Yep. And we're just, one of my professors said something years ago, which I thought it was pretty profound, is that, we don't want you there for long periods of time. We don't want you to stay in therapy for long periods of time. The goal of therapy is to no longer be in therapy.
Wow, that's great. Wow. Yeah. I never thought about it that way.
Yeah. So that, you can get what you need and then head out. Yeah,
literally get out.
save some money, because
that's the big point you said, because people feel like when they start therapy, they feel like it can be long term, but it's not supposed to be forever.
Not supposed to be forever.
Because then what was the whole point of you going if you're going for 6 months to a year and not getting much out of it?
That's true. Absolutely. Now you're kind of wasting your time, because now it's just turning into, hey, I need to go see my therapist today, and we're gonna have some more talk.
It doesn't have the same, you have to be able to get something out of it.
Yeah, therapy isn't a hangout,
right?
And people will sometimes turn into that for long periods of time. This is something that you want to do to end eventually. I always tell clients that, hey, let's start off for a couple weeks and reassess in a month or so.
Okay.
See what you're doing. Let's check in. How much progress have you made? And there's also homework with therapy too. It's stuff you got to work on. I work with with couples, and I work with individual. I work with the rainbow of people with grief counseling. With addictions. I've been working a lot with addictions.
Yeah, I'm sure you have. And that's
Yeah.
actually leads into the next question I
Yeah.
have,
Yeah.
because I wanted to ask, what are some contributing factors to declining mental health in America? And I know you mentioned addiction
Hmm.
seems to be, on the rise as well. After COVID-19,
Yeah.
pandemic, I'm sure has played a huge role in affecting people's mental health of all colors and backgrounds.
Yeah. Absolutely. A lot of factors that we can see is definitely people want to feel good. They want a quick fix.
Wow.
They want to have, I want to pop a pill, or I want to do this, or I want to do that, just to not feel anything. But the problem with that is that in the next 2 hours, you're gonna want to not feel something again. The next
Mm.
day, you're gonna want to not feel something again. So then it turns into a habit. It turns into an addiction, to where now I don't know how I got here. I don't know what I did. I'm lost. And now my brain is now working overtime. My
Yeah.
organs are working overtime. I can't seem to sleep right. I still can't, eat right. I'm not using the bath in the right way. And I
Mm.
wonder what's going on in my head. And what's going on in my head is that I've now coped with something that I wasn't meant to cope with. So is that with any kind of substances, opioids are huge now.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Fentanyl is something that is big now. That's people don't realize that's something that, man, that stuff will kill you. you know
And
and it's
still,
being
yeah, it
yeah,
does be long term, to
right.
do that.
Right, exactly, and it's hard for people to come down from fentanyl, and I've seen people
Mm.
try to detox, and it's it's painful. It's painful, and people want something that can take the edge off, because they're so stressed, because
Right.
financially they're burdened with so many bills that they can't take.
That's my next thing I
You
was
know,
gonna say.
yeah, it's
And
a
it
finance.
affects people of all ages.
Yeah, yep. It has no shape, color. It doesn't discriminate. It says what age, doesn't care what age. It will hit you any kind of way. We just don't know how to cope with when bad things happen. We cope with them by saying, "All right, let me chug a liter, of Hennessy, or let me, pop a couple pills. Let me do whatever I can to alleviate, the pain for that moment." But when you wake up the next morning, it's still there. That stuff
It's
doesn't
still
go
there.
anywhere.
Yeah, it's still there.
So with therapy, that it helps you to cope without a physical coping mechanism. And sometimes, don't get me wrong, there are medicines, people do need them, and I'm not discounting that
Right.
whatsoever, because in a lot of cases with some, mental health disorders, you need that,
Right. You do
right?
need
Just
them. Right.
together. But I'm talking about when you start to abuse these things.
Hmm.
And you start to make it seem like, all right, well, this is what I need, and it's not prescribed by a doctor's not monitoring it. It's just like, hey, I found this, and this is good for me.
You feel better.
um yeah, and instead of learning how to, I always tell people to go with the more non-drug route, if they
Right.
can start with.
Holistic.
Yeah, more holistic. Yes, absolutely. Because if we don't, if we do, then maybe we'll see something a little bit different. But if we obviously we can't, then hey, I'm here for it. But when we talk about even more contributing factors, it's definitely financial. It's
Hmm.
definitely work stress,
Oh, well,
um,
yes.
and not feeling appreciated where you are.
That's a
Um,
huge thing.
yeah, there and that sometimes leads to sex addictions, that leads to any other type of addictions that people may be maybe doing more than they should, right? And it leads you to disaster, because it's kind of like, all right, now I'm just doing this just to feel something for right now. Like I said before, you people, and that's why people have a hard time um not going through with the suicide, because people do go through suicide because they want to stop. They got so far up this
Mm.
ladder, they
Right.
don't want to stop, and it's hard to stop, because now it's like, man, if I stop now, like, my
Yeah.
world's gonna come crashing down. So in order to stop the pain, then it's easier for me on the other side. That's a lot of their mindset. On the other side, I'll feel better. On the other side, things will be better. Even for kids, they'll, some kids may say, "Hey, it's better for my family if I wasn't here." Or
I hear adults say that as well.
Yep.
And it's really sad because it's not true.
No.
You know what I'm saying? No matter, I don't care what type of argument, whatever you got in, or someone said these things to you that was hurtful, I'm sure they don't want you dead.
Right. Right.
You know what I'm saying? And especially at the expense of them. I don't think anyone wants to feel like they're the reason someone decided to take their own life.
Correct.
That's a hard burden for someone to carry.
Mm-hmm. And people, will take it to heart because I don't know if you heard of this before, but I may mess up the number, but I believe it takes 3 positive things to delete 1 negative thing.
Oh, I'm 100% with that.
So, like, if you
hear it to myself or someone says it to me, I tend to say a lot to people, like, well, you can say all these positive things, but that one negative thing was going to stick with me. So I'm one of those people that it will take a lot of hearing positive things,
right,
to alleviate that one negative. Right,
because a lot of kids, adults, teens, whatever age, you tell someone that they're unattractive. So they say, "Hey, I think you're ugly."
Right,
and someone may say, like 10 minutes later, "Hey, I think you're beautiful."
Right.
It won't mean anything.
Right.
Yeah, because the negative thought will like pierce into your brain a lot harder than that positive one. So you need to hear it a couple more times, be like, all right, to cancel out that negative one. So we have
it's the truth.
Yeah, and it's hard. It's really, really hard to do that sometimes because part of your brain may think, hey, maybe I don't look good. Maybe
you start to believe the negative more than the positive. And I really wish that wasn't the case, because in this world people are so mean.
Yeah.
Their own issues. So it just bothers me that for anyone that's the case. Because it's like, it don't even matter how strong of a person you are. You hear even celebrities.
Right.
That have all these fans and adoring fans and have all this money that eventually they get broken down.
Right.
And they try to train themselves to not pay attention to all the negative comments. But if you're sitting there all day and you're scrolling, you're seeing all these people talk down about you and they don't even know you like that.
Right. Right.
Except through TV, it's going to have some type of effect on you.
Absolutely, absolutely. And the thing is that we were all, like, a lot of therapists, including myself, we were trained in CBT. And what CBT is, cognitive behavioral therapy. And what that is that with CBT specialists, what they do is they help you to train your brain into thinking positively, regardless of what the negative thoughts and what the negative statements may come at you with. Right? They help you to train your mind and say, hey, like, this stuff that you're thinking, these automatic thoughts that are coming to your head and things that are coming at you, those things aren't you. But what is you is what you know, because we are the authors of our own story. We know us better than anyone. We know what looks good. We know that they're pretty or attractive or handsome, but it takes us to keep that in the back of our heads, to switch it so that when someone else may say something negative, we can automatically do it in a heartbeat. We have a list. I tell some clients, hey, write down a list of negative things that's said to you, and some of them, may be, I'm not smart. I've heard that a lot, a lot of past trauma. People say, I'm not smart. I said, what's a statement that you can write on this list right here that tells you that you are smart? And one of the clients wrote, I'm really good at math. I mean, that's awesome. That's a positive.
Positive, yeah.
So replace that with that negative. You had to replace it in your head first without having someone else tell you.
Right.
So that's what has changed.
That's big.
Yeah, it's taking away the other person in a sense from having to make you feel like, you're worthy, not
Mhm.
worthless.
Not worthless.
Yeah.
That's right. And I hope the viewers that are watching are taking in everything that you're saying, because I feel like we all have this issue at some level.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely. Absolutely.
we all are influenced by what others say to us. No, I don't care what you feel all about yourself.
Mm-hmm.
We're still going to have some type of influence from other people. So you almost do have to know who you are, so that
Right.
things don't affect you so much.
Right. Right. And one thing I wanted to just add, with the declining mental health in America is past trauma.
Yeah.
Past trauma does so much to your present day. When we see clients and patients in our office, we automatically assume that they're trauma-informed patients or clients,
Mm.
which means that some trauma in their past has affected who and what they do in their present day. Meaning, for the mama left me when I was an infant. I never got past that. That's
Mm.
affecting the actions and the behaviors you have as an adult, to
Yeah.
where it may seem like, I can't trust anybody. Okay, I can't trust women, or I can only trust men, or this is kind of where I'm at right now. And, I didn't have that, that motherly role in my life to make me feel like, I was a woman or I was a man. So
Right.
I had to make up with it by trying to find someone else that kind of fit the mold. So it affects you every day when it shouldn't, and it's hard because that happens a lot in our communities. It happens a
I
lot.
believe it.
So it's difficult to pinpoint it. But
Yeah.
when you speak with your therapist wants to dig in this thing with you. They want to dig up the stuff, and they're professionals at what they do. They're able to dig it up, without, traumatizing you.
Yeah. Again, yeah.
Without making your world flip upside down, and you leave with your world flipped upside down, and you don't know how to handle it when we get back home.
Yeah,
Right.
because people don't want to. That's the whole thing. They don't want to talk about it because they feel like it's going to dig up feelings. But the thing is, those feelings are there anyway.
Yep.
Whether
Yep.
it's directly or indirectly affecting you, they're still there.
They're still there. They're still there, and they're not going anywhere until they're talked about, until they're brought to the light.
Yeah.
It's truthful that nothing kept in the dark is ever going to come to the light. And be fixed until it comes to the light. Because if we do bring it to the light, then we give it less power over us. We say, hey, yep, this happened. Yep, I was abused. Yep, I was raped. Yep, this happened. And it holds less power over you, because now it's not that it's just that it happened. It's now I'm ready to fix this. I'm ready to heal from this, because if we heal from it, then the person that we love and we care about won't feel the wrath, won't feel the trauma, won't feel the heartache, won't feel the resentment and the frustration that I got from someone else. I'm already healed before I get to you.
Right.
So, it's all about putting in that work, and that's what your therapist want to do with you.
No, it's if people want to put the work in, but they'll say they want to, but then when it comes to actually doing it, it's a challenge, as it's supposed to be.
Yeah, because it's uncomfortable.
Uncomfortable, yeah.
It's uncomfortable, and it's you have to learn how to live in the uncomfortable. Because if you stay in that comfortable place and you're fine where you are, you'll never move to where you need to move.
Change is necessary.
Yes, it is. For growth. It's a cliche, but you got to grow through what you go through.
Yeah.
And that comes with a lot of baggage. It's costly. I was talking to one of my best friends earlier today. Just the same thing. Like it's costly to submit and to give up, your ideas of how things should go. And have a different idea, have a different viewpoint. Change the way you feel like things should be in your life. Because if you do the same thing you have always done, you'll always be where you always been.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, so you have to change as necessary. You can't stay stagnant. You have to move up. You have to elevate. And that's what therapy helps you to do. It helps you to
Right.
kind of see where you want to be in your next steps and how to get there. I tell a lot of patients and a lot of clients, like, look, if you want to be somebody, you want to go somewhere, you better wake up and pay attention. But pay attention to your own mind, pay attention to your own habits, pay attention to what you're actually doing to contribute to sometimes your own misery. And ask for help, because a lot of times, sometimes it is you.
It
It's
is.
nobody else. It is you, and
It
it's
is.
okay that it is you.
But that comes with time, when you're actually able to look back and say something that happened in the past, whether it's relationship or job or whatever, career,
Yeah.
that it was you that
Yeah.
led to the downfall of it.
Yeah, absolutely. But it does take time. And sometimes a lot of people, they exit out of therapy before they get to that breaking point of realizing that, hey, this
Early. That's what you're telling people. Wait till the breakthrough happens.
Yeah, wait till breakthrough happens. And sometimes it could happen in a month. It could happen in 2 months. It could happen in 6 months. In those, there's no timeline. But like I said before, we don't want you to be there for a long time. We want you to be healed to move on. There's been cases where I've heard, colleagues say that they've had the same person every week for almost 10 years, and everything is just,
that's too much.
It's a lot, right?
Go home, right? Y'all just have to see them.
Yeah, it turned into a hangout, and therapy can't turn into a hangout. It's gotta be something that you do in order to get better. It's like going to the doctor.
Right. And I can see someone having, stop and then maybe coming back later, but not a whole 10 years straight.
Yeah. I tell everyone I can't sell a product that I don't use. I go to therapy. I go to therapy every week. We all have things we need to work on. But when I realized I got to a point where I'm good, my therapist even told me, Eric, I think you're good. You got it together. And I'm like, you think so? Yeah. I'm looking at where your life was to where it is right now. All right, you can pause for a little bit. I'm like, all right, sounds good. So don't charge my insurance $150 in.
Yeah, insurance know how to get you.
Oh yeah, sure. Oh yeah, they kill you. They
definitely do. They don't miss that. And no offense, but therapists don't either. Y'all know how to get you. It's not about the money, but sometimes it can be a little pricey, but at the same time, it is it's worth it for your health.
It is.
I want to talk briefly about you mentioned earlier a little bit about some of the Black health stigmas. Some of the mental health stigmas within the Black community. Do you want to just share briefly about some of those and really how I guess we can try to start breaking some of that? Because you mentioned earlier as far as with Black men as well. So
yeah, well,
we definitely need change in that.
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
The biggest one that I've heard, I'm pretty sure that you probably heard of this too, that if you go to therapy, you're crazy.
Oh yeah, of course.
And in this field, we don't even use that word. That's not a word, it's not a terminology that we use, because that implies that, in a way you can't be fixed, or it's a bad terminology to where it's like, you can't help yourself, because that's what therapy is. It's a form of you helping you. Right. And when you go to someone else and say, look, I need to sit down and talk about my feelings, it's man, you're this, you're that, you're queer, or you're gay, or whatever. And it turns into that when it's like, man, I'm trying to get healed. I'm trying to get fixed. I'm trying to be better so I can be better for my family, my kids, for the people that's around me, and even years ago, like it's a very, very old school mentality where we were called the quacks. Are you going to the quack?
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Like, what's wrong with your brain?
It's true. Yeah.
Yeah, because a lot of people associate therapy to like people in like straps and chains and stuff. and like falling back, or can't seem to get together, like they have lost their mind mentally. Now, I'm not saying that those things don't exist, right? But
Right.
that's not what I do. That's not what mental health therapists do. We're here to,
All that.
yeah, I mean, we're here to deal with, with your cognition, with your brain, to see what's happening there, so you can make good decisions for your life. And when people think about that, they say, oh, well, dude, I can't go there. I'm not crazy. You crazy, you go there. No, no. Because it's those same people that end up losing their lives because they feel like, I couldn't tell nobody what was going on.
Yeah, I believe that.
Yeah, I mean, men get molested too. Men get raped too.
Yeah, of
Black
course.
men get raped too. And the difference is that it's more acceptable if a woman
Right.
reports that she's been raped. No man wants to tell another man or someone else that they've been through this trauma, because if they do, they'll automatically think, oh, this person's gay, or
Right.
they've done something to where it should have happened to them, or I didn't do the feelings thing. And so like it's hard for to get men of color in to the offices, because they have such a hang up. It's easy for them to talk to their boys while they're drinking 40, or they're
Oh yeah,
drinking,
I believe it.
or hanging out. They'll get into their feelings then, but then automatically you'll hear someone say, oh, don't talk about that,
They don't want
that,
to talk about it.
yeah. And it's so wrong, because a lot of guys, when they get like that, I've seen cases, I've read studies where people they get into groups and crowds, and they get intoxicated and they want to talk about their feelings. And the moment that one person does try to open up, they slap them away, and that
Right.
person is on the verge of suicide. That person's on the
You never
verge.
know what someone's going through, and I guess for women it's very different because being a woman, we're very emotional. We talk about our feelings all the time.
Mhm.
I'm saying, women, we're always crying. I watch a movie, romantic comedy, and I start crying.
Right.
Throughout the whole movie, I'm crying,
Mhm.
and it's
Right.
just like, with men, it's very different for y'all because y'all are taught growing up, not to speak on your feelings. That
Right.
boys don't cry, for example. And I think that has started to change now with like our generation of parenting. I think
Mhm.
it's a little bit more open to that,
Right.
allowing, boys to be able to speak on their feelings because that
Yeah.
does affect him as a man later on.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? You
Right.
tell them, especially particularly for Black young boys, that
Mhm.
you should share your feelings. And
Right.
it becomes a struggle for a lot of men later on in life. And then, like you said, around with your guy friends, now you speak up, and it's like you feel like you're shut down. But the crazy part is they're dealing with the same issues,
Right. They just don't want to talk about it.
or family problems, or careers, or financial stuff, because men tend to feel more of that, the financial burden.
Yeah.
They're going through the same issues, and I'm actually happy to see, on social media, more men coming together. You see
Mhm.
more, especially men of color now, are having podcasts. They're having Facebook groups now where
Yeah.
they are talking about what's going on with them.
Right.
But then, the same token, men are getting shut down sadly, by women. I think
Yep. Yeah.
because, and I can speak myself as a woman, because we complain all the time about men not sharing their feelings. Like, oh,
Right.
why are you not being open? Why are you not telling me what's going on? Why are you so quiet? We can't stand
Right.
it. But then when a man does open up, then he's called names.
Yep.
And
Yep.
it's kind of put back in a place where he can't share his feelings. But
Right.
that's exactly what we say we want. So, how women, we're confused all the time.
Yeah.
The man to speak up, but then when he speaks up, if it's not what we want to hear, we
Correct.
don't want to hear it.
Right.
So it can't be you pick and choose what comes out someone's mouth if they're sharing, how they're feeling. So
Yeah.
I'm happy to see that men they have groups, without women involved. Even if it's just amongst y'all sharing what's going on with you. So I'm
Yeah.
happy to see more of that. Because
Yeah.
it wasn't like that even 10 years ago. You really didn't hear men talk about the fact that they're going to, a men's group.
Yeah. Yeah, it's and
Because
and
I have feelings too. It's not women. We're not the only creatures that have, feelings.
nope. And it's hard for it's already hard. We're already, built to, like you said before, built to not express ourselves.
Right.
We're built to just, suck it up and deal with it. Rub some dirt
Right.
on it. You
Yeah.
will be okay.
You'll be
And
okay. Yeah.
and it's like, nah, we won't. There was a
Mhm.
study that I was doing with one of my professors, and back when I was in graduate school, and it was a study between why boys of color, Black and Hispanic men, commit suicide, and the suicide rate was between 5 and I want to say 15 to 18. Why they were committing suicide, because the suicide rate went up tremendously.
Oh God.
And a lot of it was because, for one, lack of supervision. There was no one around.
Mm.
It was easier for them to access stuff like this. Social media was huge. And instead of them having people around them that says, hey, no, you're okay, they listen to people on the internet telling them that they're not worth anything, they're worthless, and pretty much telling them that they should go kill themselves.
How
And yeah.
that? How do you tell someone that?
Right. I mean, I don't know if you remember, like, the Momo challenge. That was huge. That thing was telling kids to do bad things, and to drink Drano, and to drink, bleach, and to kill themselves. And a lot of times it wasn't just that, right? It was because they felt like they didn't have anyone to talk to. And I think that translates perfectly to adult life. We hold so much in. Man, it's crazy.
Oh yeah,
And
because you feel like you have to, especially as an adult.
yeah, it's like no one can solve these problems. Yeah, like no one can solve these problems but me. I gotta be able to do it, and not to, like, throw my faith into it, but that's what I go to church often, and
Right.
that's why,
And that's when you turn to God.
yeah, absolutely.
And I hear people in my circle tell me that all the time.
Yeah.
That I'm very hard on myself, and you can't take on all these problems, but you have to be able to let go and turn to God. So
Right. And lean on other people. I had to learn that the hard way too. Is that, if you go to, like, your therapist is a person you can lean on. Your therapist is someone that you can go to and say, all right, you can spill out everything. We don't know you. If we do, then we cancel the session right away because there's a conflict of interest. But it's the opportunity for you to say the nastiest, most disgusting, the meanest thing you want to say, that's in your heart, that's in your mind. And imagine, you're gonna feel 25 times better just being able to get that off of your chest. Just being able to say what's actually happening in your head. I had, like, little squishies in my office where people that were just frustrated with life, they needed to throw something at the wall just to get it out, because they have no other way of getting it out but that way. So, we take advantage of this opportunity that we've been given. The sky's the limit for everyone.
Yeah, it really is.
And we have to be able to be, to push ourselves. That's the hard part. We don't want to do it. We don't want to show anyone our weaknesses.
Oh, that's big.
I'm not trying to hold myself back anymore.
No, life is really too short for that. If you have to, squeeze a squeegee or. I went axe throwing before, and it was actually good. I know you don't want no axes in your office, but
no,
you don't want. They might be a little too wild. But
we keep all sharp items out of the way.
No sharp items, okay, no sharp items. Maybe a plastic one you can get from people to pretend. But it's successfully, but that's why they have rooms where people could go in and break stuff, like you said, throw stuff on the wall, because people need that release.
Yeah, and you don't know how many times I've seen guys and men that you would never think just break down, and it's one of the in my opinion, one of the most rewarding things to see, is because you can literally see them breaking the chains from, like, who they thought they were and what they thought they felt, to like seeing the difference. It's and sometimes Guys will grab me. They feel so good. They grab me and pick me up and like try to hug me too tight. And I'm like, you're good. I say, you did this.
Right.
And I give them full credit. You did this.
Yes.
You made it in here. You know, you made the effort.
Yeah.
You know, I'm just here to hear whatever you want to talk about.
Yes.
Just let me know. One guy told me, he's like, man, I gotta stop coming to your office. Every time I come here, you made me cry, man. And I'm like, yo, it's not me, brother. You know, it's you. You know, you getting that stuff off you, so you'll feel better. So next time, you know, you can now share this knowledge with someone else.
Right. Yeah. And that goes to my next question. I know we're starting to get towards the end.
Yeah.
But what can people do to help raise awareness for those facing mental health or behavioral issues?
Refer them. You know, get them help. There's things called reform care for students. There's a humongous, you know, list, 700-page list of therapists all around New Jersey, all around the world that you can, you know, get help from. And that to keep in the back of your mind that you're not in this by yourself. Like you don't have to face these problems, these situations on your own. And you can't measure up your problems or your situations to someone else. Your problems are big.
I agree.
Yeah, big or small to someone else, your problems are big to you. And to me as a therapist, that's huge. That's big. That's still big. It could be something small as like, man, I just lost my car. Someone else may say, oh, well, I just lost my entire family. Okay. They're both pretty big problems. Right? You know, it's just how people manage them and how they deal with them. And the first step is to, for one, being honest with yourself. You don't have to tell anybody that you're going to therapy. That's between you and your therapist, you know, but the fact is to go. And the more comfortable you get, the more you'll start to say, hey, you know what? I tried therapy. It worked. It worked because I worked it, you know. And I tell all my clients, I said, this thing will only work if you work it. It won't work if I work it. You got to want this more than me. You got to want this just as much as you want to breathe. You got to want to get past this addiction. You got to want to get past, you know, those deep nights where you feel like you're by yourself and you feel like if I just let it go, if I walk away, if I just end it, it'll be better. You got to want to be better. You got to want to. Yeah.
I agree 1,000%. You have to. Not your partner, you know, not your family, but you.
Right. It's got to, this part is about you and how you know, deal with the next step so that you can be better, so your life can be successful. Because we want everyone's life to be great, but I can't want it more than you want it. You know, I can't. And then when you do figure out what that is, you know, takes, you know, those self-care days. I have a self-care day every single week. I should do it multiple times a week. I go to the gym almost every day. You know,
taking care of yourself.
Yeah, you know, I talk to my you know, my best friend every day. You know, I go and I get massages here and there, you know, every once a week. You know, like I take time for me where I shut off my phone.
All right.
Once a week. Got to do it once a week.
You know, I understand once a month for me. But I know. I got to step my game up now.
You know, because you need time to check out. And, you know, let someone pamper you for a little bit. You know, sit and go have a meal at the Fridays or whatever.
So I really do believe in that, taking, you know, having that time to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like going to massage or, you know, going to, you know, nail salon, like you said, to, you know, dinner or to a movie or, you know, to the gym.
Yep. There's nothing wrong with going to see a movie by yourself.
No, and I used to do it, you know, all the time as well. And there's things that I could still do, you know, alone.
Right.
And I think it's important to actually have that, you know, alone time, whether you're, you know, in a relationship or not. I think it's important for both partners.
Absolutely.
To have that individuality sometimes.
Yes, absolutely.
Once a week.
Right.
Something for yourself.
Yeah.
Outside of a relationship, outside of work.
Yep. Children, even if it's only an hour.
Even an hour, right?
Even an hour. Give yourself a moment to just be, you know, like, you know, there's nothing wrong with going to the movie theater by yourself. I mean, heck, I'm going to the movie theater, you know, next week. Yo, that Little Mermaid movie looks fire. I'm about to check that out.
I ain't sure.
Little
mermaid. I still do. And I
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
you can see me pop up in a movie theater, like, oh, I'm going to see the
Yeah.
mermaid. I'm not afraid of that, like, you know, but
No.
because at the end of the day, this is about me. This is
Right.
about
That's
how I
true.
put
It
myself
is.
together.
Right.
And if I worry about everyone else and
Right. You
what they
can't.
think and how they think, I'll lose me. And I'm not losing me for anybody.
Right. Oh, that's huge.
Yeah.
I wanted you to share
Sure.
just what I ask all the guests when they come on
Okay.
on the Q-tip. It can be about mental health. It can be about. I know you're a teacher, as well. If you want to
Yeah.
share anything regarding education, just whatever you would like to share for the viewers watching.
Like, I guess just about me.
No, just a tip that you want to give. Just
A tip.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'll go back to mental health. Take care of you. You can't help anyone else until you help yourself first.
Yes.
Like, that's huge. And if you think that you can, it's going to lead to disaster. Is you got to help you. You got to
Right.
get you right. You have to make sure that you're healthy. You can't go to
Yeah.
work sick.
No, you
You
can't
take care of
literally.
your kids, and you're not right. I've seen people kill their kids because they just can't get it together. I've seen people, knock their kids off of bridges and drown them, and because their mental isn't right.
Yeah.
If you're not right, you can't help anybody else.
No. I agree with that, and that's why you actually do have, like you said earlier, put the work in
Yep.
to heal yourself. And I don't even necessarily think healing is just a one-time step that happens in your life. 6 months and you're healed. I think it's a process.
Yeah, we give you the tips.
You may be, like you said, the tips. You may be healed in one area, but I think things happen in life where you may have to go back and be healed from that.
Yeah, like we give you we call it a toolbox.
Okay.
We give you a toolbox full of coping skills and coping strategies. But if you never open up that toolbox to use them, not around, then it's just a waste of money, right? Because I can't be in your life for the rest of your life.
No, you can't.
So you have to be able to utilize what I give you or what any therapist gives you in order for you to be successful. Because if not, then you'll be right back in my office saying, hey, Eric, what do we do? And I'm going to give you those same tools, and they're going to work for you. And it works only if you work it.
If you work it. And I know you mentioned earlier that you're working on your doctorate. Do you have anything else that you have? That right there is enough.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah. So I should be finishing up hopefully within about a year or so.
Okay. Well, that'll be here soon.
Yeah, they'll be here soon, and I'm just I got a few other things in the works. So
I'm
I
know you do, but it's you always got something, which is a great thing.
Yeah.
People get our age and they feel like their time is up, and it's not true. Right. One of my friends just messaged me. Actually, we were talking briefly about that, where I was talking to her about, well, what do I consider myself to be an expert and stuff at? And she was saying it takes 10,000 hours of doing something, like consistently.
Yeah.
Before you can say you're an expert in it.
Mm-hmm.
And I was telling her, of course, me doing the media and stuff. And I said, I just have to become more consistently and stuff at it. Right. And I was telling her eventually I would say I'm at the, 10,000 hours or whatever of doing that. Right. And, what you said just, it just reminded me of how, of the fact that you can start at any time. Like she was saying, oh, you should make that a goal then. Mm-hmm. Like saying you would start today in order to become an expert.
Right.
That's there is no time frame where, 35 or 40, that does not mean that you still don't have things to learn or that you don't have things that you can teach people.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right.
Pretty much saying that it doesn't matter when you start
That's
that.
Right.
It's the matter of starting. You never know in 5 years from now where you can be at, where you're looking back at yourself and saying, oh, I didn't think that I was able to speak on this, because she goes out and she does speaking events. Mm-hmm. And that's something I would like to do, myself more of. So I was thinking about what can I talk to people about that would help them, because I'm like you in a lot of ways. I want to be able to be of service to people.
Yeah.
to help people. And
Right.
I'm sure there's things that I can talk to people about, but in my mind, I'm thinking like, oh, I have to be, an expert, at it. So, because people look at that, they want to see how long you've been doing something, your
Yeah.
background, and
Yeah. I mean, I feel like I've been a therapist my entire life. Like this,
I really feel like you have been, because from high school on,
yeah.
there, for me, as a friend, listening to me and my issues I had, going on, and I went through a lot of issues as you had as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
We had friends, obviously, but being teased and bullied, all that stuff, it does affect you. And now I'm at that point in life where I'm able to look back and realize that people were just kids themselves,
Yeah.
don't know what they were dealing with,
Right.
as well. And now we're all at a different place in life.
Mm-hmm.
As long as they're still not behaving the same way they did,
Right. Exactly.
I would hope not.
And they probably got past trauma that they're dealing with on their own. So
They do. Some of them still in some type of trauma, but
yeah. They got some work to do.
they still got work to do. So there's no time frame of when you can start something that's going to better yourself.
Agreed.
My last question, I just want to ask how can people reach out to you? I know you're based in New Jersey. Are you looking for new clients, or how can people?
So I'm not looking for any brand new clients just yet. But if you have any questions, please, find me. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. I don't really post too much, but I can't. So I'm busy. I'm all over the place. But plus, I don't know what. I never know what to post. I post silly stuff. I post like scriptures.
I think you really should post more of what you do.
Yeah.
I mean, look at this whole show tonight.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? People actually need this information.
Yeah.
They need to know where they could go at. As silly as it may seem, you may feel like nobody's looking at your page, but you just never know who, might be watching, or who might need help.
Absolutely.
At that moment.
Absolutely.
And that you post what it may do for them, what it may do for them. So it may actually, have someone feel like maybe I should reach out to a therapist now.
Right, exactly. So, even, I'm always up for answering questions. I'm always up for, for conversations and for a quick chat. Always feel free to reach out to me, through Instagram, on Facebook. I do check the messages on Instagram. It's Eric J. Stanley. You can find me. My face is up there. I don't think I've changed too much since a couple years ago. So
no.
So look me up. And I do have a lot of referrals. I have a lot of colleagues that that have the same mindset as me, that works just like me. That do have some openings. So feel free to contact me anytime, and I can always redirect you. If I have some availability, I'll definitely see what I can do.
Well, Eric, I want to just thank you for tonight's show. This was an excellent source of information. Our conversation, we got to speak to you. I haven't seen you, since the end of last year.
Yeah, there's some time, but I'm glad to see you again and link up. And it's good. This is good.
Yeah, so I definitely appreciate this, because, like I said, it's necessary.
It is.
Conversations, it really is. No matter what your color or age or background, mental health is everywhere. Again, this is Mental Health Month, so
yeah,
this is a very valuable podcast show tonight.
Yeah, get out there and start making the change that you really want to see in yourself.
Yes.
So it's up to you to do it. You gotta want to do it.
That's it. It's up to you.
Up to you.
Awesome. I want to thank everybody that came on, watching, tonight as well, to continue, sharing the podcast. And thank you, Eric, again, for coming on and spreading the word for me. So,
of course, anytime.
Blessed, but I just remind people to keep sweating yourself to a healthier self, and to stay blessed.
All right.
All right. Talk to you soon, brother.
All right. Talk to you soon. Take care.
Take care.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.